Well, I don't know about you these days, but so often I find myself realizing what time it is as I'm watching certain television programs. And one program that we do not miss in my family is Inside Edition. And of course, we're so happy to call Deborah Norville a friend of ours, and we're going to go ahead and welcome her in today. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I am great. It's so good to see you. And it's kind of ironic because I remember when you actually started broadcasting from home before all of us went home. I went into my boss and I said, well, it might only be a matter of time. Deborah's in her kitchen. And here we are. We've all had to adapt. How's the workload for you for Inside Edition?
Well, it's interesting. There are moments, I think everybody appreciates this because a lot of people are watching this broadcast, right, while they're working from home. And it's funny, it's when I saw your picture come up and you've got the staircase behind you, I thought, how many times have people been coming down the stairs when you're in the middle of a segment? You're like, the other day I was doing a Zoom interview and I had texted my husband. I said, please don't come into the house, come in the other door. I'm in the kitchen doing a Zoom interview. So what happens? They barrel through. I mean, you know, it is what it is, right?
Yep. And it's funny you should say that. And actually, one of the first times I met you, I think you were in studio with us and I was pregnant. My daughter now is
about to have that baby. Yeah.
She's 3. And yeah, so these stairs have not the smartest thing, but we're learning, we're making it happen. And I know when it comes to the programming on Inside Edition, you guys tell the stories, you're giving the facts at the beginning, but then they have a human interest touch. Talk about how the programming has evolved now with the world that we live in, and COVID-19 is what is on the forefront of everybody's mind.
You know, it's funny. I sort of see Inside Edition as comfort food during this period. You know, we are journalistically based. We're just the facts, ma'am, kind of programming.
The staff that you're working with, of course, you have changed where you're broadcasting from, but your reporters out there, they're still all over, still getting the stories. How has that changed from a behind the scenes look at Inside Edition?
Well, I'll tell you, we are actually located, I think we're in 7 different states right now producing this program. We were literally evacuated out of our offices on March the 11th. And CBS had a couple of people who had, at that early point, turned up with COVID-19, one in the broadcast center, one in the office building where our offices are located. So both places where we do what we do. And at 5:30 in the afternoon, they said, we're shutting it down. You have to be out of here within 30 minutes. By 6 o'clock, we want all of you out of here, and you're not coming back until Monday. Well, they said Monday of the following week, but it's going to be like Monday of many months from now. We have not been allowed back in. They literally changed our ID cards. We couldn't get in if we wanted to because they're that serious about making sure that the employees at the company are kept safe. And I know, you know, every prudent business operator has the same mindset. And you know what? Our audience appreciates that at that very early stage, we did what we needed to do to make sure that we could be on the air. And that was literally the same week that New Rochelle, New York was basically put in a lockdown and they had the National Guard up there. And we sent one of our reporters up there to show you what it's like to have the National Guard, something that we had not seen since September 11th, operating, you know, absent a natural disaster like you guys have hurricanes and stuff down in Florida. That was pretty shocking, but we made it work. We had another reporter who was quarantined at home, and he showed, you know, at that very early stage, what you got to do to keep your home safe and secure. So it was a little rough around the edges, but I think the audience appreciated. We were doing the best we could, trying to get the most information out we could, and that has not changed in the, 6 weeks now that we've been doing this.
Well, one of the things, too, that you've shared, you talked about the reporter being at home, quarantined at home. You, too, have opened up your home in a way, or at least opened the book. I was fascinated to see your story when you yourself got tested.
Oh,
Explain to people if they didn't see that, because that's really hit home for me, and I've thought of you a lot during this time.
So here's the thing. My daughter is a college student. She had been at Mardi Gras and then later in Sun Valley, both of which turned out to be hot spots, we found out. And so I wanted her tested before she had to go back and move her stuff out of her college apartment because she can't go back. And indeed, she tested positive for the antibody. The whole family had the test. And the woman said, I'm positive for coronavirus. Well, you know, I didn't have enough information, and that's why I did this story. There is no finger prick test that can diagnose coronavirus. It's only the nasal swab that can do that. So if somebody tells you you have the virus and they haven't swabbed your nose, do not believe them. The second thing is, there at that point were only 4 companies approved by the FDA to do the finger prick coronavirus antibody testing. That number is now 7. So you need to look up and make sure that if you're getting the antibody test, it is one of the 7 FDA approved companies. Because anybody else can say, we got a test and it'll check the antibody, but it's not validated by the FDA. It may not be of any value. So that's why I shared my story.
I'm so glad you did, because it definitely started a dialogue in my family, and I'm sure it's done that with other families too, because I think people want to see about the antibiotics. They want to see if they've been impacted. So I think it's so important. Again, we love Inside Edition. Deborah, we always enjoy chatting with you. And of course, we are lucky to say that Inside Edition is on ABC Action News, 7 o'clock. Be sure and tune in. And Deborah, take care. Stay in touch, okay?
Thank you so much, Natalie. Pleasure being with you. Be well, everybody.